Okay, Diptyque Laurent has been scouring the papers for us and has brought us some of the highlights. She joins us now in studio. Dipty, I believe still a lot of coverage given to the French President Emmanuel Macron's trip to Corsica, and notably that question of independence for the island.
That's right, and a lot of reactions, Eve, to the speech that he gave yesterday. It was a speech commemorating the 20-year death anniversary of Claude Erignac, who was a local prefect murdered 20 years ago. Now, in that speech, which many of the papers have noted, actually ended up being pretty political, Emmanuel Macron really showed his firmness. That's what Libération says. It's worth noting that local leaders who were elected last December are nationalists who are calling for the island of Corsica to get a greater autonomy in terms of politics, in terms of the economy as well. Well, the French president has said in no uncertain terms that Corsica will not become an independent state. Now, Le Parisien newspaper evokes what they call an arm wrestle taking place now between the French government and the nationalists, also picking up on that message of firmness, while you have Le Figaro, which notes that basically, no one really expected Emmanuel Macron to sort of declare his support for the nationalist cause, but they were hoping for little concessions. For instance, the Corsicans want their regional language, the Corsican language, to be recognized as an official tongue, and they want, as I said, greater power over their economy. But for the moment, Emmanuel Macron hasn't really given his opinion on this.
Nationalists in Corsica, or independentists, also want another concession. They're hoping for political asylum, really, for political prisoners, including the man who is convicted for killing that French prefect 20 years ago.
That man is Yvon Colonna. As you said, he has been convicted. He's a man who murdered Claude Erignac. Now, for the French government, he's a murderer, but for the nationalists, he's a political prisoner. And Corsicans want him and other political prisoners to be given a government amnesty. The Huffington Post notes also that leaders want Corsica to figure in the French constitution, noting that it's the only island that doesn't get a mention in the constitution. If it is mentioned in the constitution, well, this would put it on the same level as other overseas territories like Saint-Martin or French Polynesia, where residents actually have French nationality but enjoy a greater deal of autonomy over their personal affairs or their local affairs. However, putting Corsica into the French constitution could open up a Pandora's box. You might have similar movements from Western France, from the Bretagne region, so it could open a Pandora's box. Critics say Corsica is not a colonized overseas territory, and therefore it shouldn't enjoy, or it shouldn't have, that status.
Okay, interesting one. Let's move on, Diptyque, to something all of us here at France 24 are talking about non-stop this morning. It's the weather. Pretty snowy conditions overnight, something we haven't seen in Paris, certainly, for quite some time.
That's right. It is snowing in Paris, and everyone is in a total panic. They don't know what to do. I actually saw this on my Facebook page, this cartoon yesterday, and I think it really does sum up how Paris reacts to snow, or extreme weather for that case. You have a couple of snowflakes falling, and suddenly we're all going to die. But it does feel like that this morning, because many of us did, of course, have transport problems. There are no buses, there are no trams, there are no trains, the taxis are overbooked, so it was pretty hard getting into work. Even my morning papers didn't turn up on my desk this morning, which I think must have been stuck by the snow. So you have this cartoon sort of poking fun at how us maybe our melodramatic reaction to what is just a bit of snow and a pretty rare occurrence. Indeed, though, for those getting out and about today, it'll be really difficult. In fact, yesterday there was a new traffic record, 739 kilometers of traffic jam in the Paris region. It's not really a record that anybody desires, I guess. Le Parisien calls it an avalanche of snow falling over France, noting that part of the country, at least, is paralyzed by the snowfall.
Indeed, my taxi van, when I was coming in this morning, said 800 people were blocked at Montparnasse railway station, unable to find ways home. So the snow may well be an inconvenience. However, some people are seeing it as a good sign that at least we're getting all the various weathers and seasons.
Yes, that's really the upside of this weather episode, the editors at Le Parisien note that after your initial amazement that snow is falling in the streets of Paris, it's now turning to wonder that snow is even able to stick around and pile up on the streets of Paris, because, as you would know, urbanization and climate change has really pushed snow out of Paris and other big cities in France in recent years. So the newspaper is really calling it a reassuring sign that winter still does exist. You also have one meteorologist for the Huffington Post that says snow during winter is really nothing exceptional. In fact, it's quite normal. At the turn of last century, the Seine River used to freeze every winter and snow every winter as well. So that's almost a foreign concept today. Snowy winters have, of course, become more and more rare. So for this expert, it's rather the absence of snow that we should be panicking about, not the presence.
I guess it's just because it came in February. I think we were all mentally aiming towards spring.
We're already in spring.
Yeah,
that's right.
Moved on. Finally, from you, Dipti, for this hour, a Skateboarders Association has filed an application for a new skate park in a very unusual location.
That's right. This is not your run-of-the-mill skate park. This local association in the western part of France want to create a skate park in an abandoned 19th century church in the western city of Nantes. This is their project. As you see here, it is really beautiful. They want to make it what they call the Temple of Skateboarding, noting that the covered church is ideal for skateboarding in all seasons, including the snow, of course. And they say it will help make the sport more commonplace. Sort of, they want to democratize the sport, and they're promising to hold lessons for young kids and organize skateboarding events. They're planning to crowdfund the 10 or 15 grand needed to get rid of the church benches and put in the skate park. Not sure, though, if the parish is on board.
Yeah, I really do wonder that. Dipti Laurent, thanks a lot for that wrap-up of the papers.